I want to start off by coming on here and I want to start off by apologizing to you guys for two things. I want to apologize to you guys for not uploading as often as I should have uploaded. You know, I was going on a good streak, and then I stopped, and I want to apologize for that. You know, this is something that I've been trying to pursue for a long time, and now that I've already got the ball rolling and everything, it's kind of weird that I just stopped out of nowhere. So I do want to apologize for that. But I also want to apologize for... Actually, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. There's no need to apologize. Why should I have to apologize for speaking out on a situation that really needs to be brought to light, really needs the attention that it deserves? I don't give a damn if what I'm doing is a gaming channel. I don't care if I'm trying to do challenges, reaction videos, whatever the case may be. I don't care that my channel's supposed to be this specific avenue, it's supposed to only relate to certain things. No. If I have a platform, if I have people that watch my content and subscribe to my content to see my content, you're gonna see the real me. You're not gonna see anything fake, anything unedited, anything that that I would normally talk about. No, you're gonna see the real me. So if I want to talk about something regarding, you know, a situation that is close and dear to my heart, that's what I'm gonna do. So no, I'm not gonna apologize for what I'm about to speak about today, because this is a situation that needs to be brought to attention. The injustices that black people today have been facing, specifically against police officers of white color, is ridiculous. And I'm gonna try my best not to curse on this video. I'm gonna try my best to speak in a way where people can be able to understand where I'm coming from, because this is ridiculous. I'm tired of having to go onto my phone every single day and see a news story outlet, a news breakout, that a black man is being innocently killed at the hands of a white cop for no reason. This is ridiculous. Take my glasses off. I don't care if my do-rag look bad. I don't care. I don't care. Matter of fact, I might even take it off, because I'm sick and tired of what's going on here. I'm about to talk to y'all real from the heart. I have been sick. I have been disgusted. I can't even explain the emotions that are occurring within me regarding the situations that have been happening over the past few weeks. Not even over the past few weeks. For years, for decades, for centuries, this has been happening. And it's like we're not even, I mean, in some way, shape, or form, it seems as if we're making an improvement. It seems as if we're making a change. But in reality, are we really? Where are we going? I keep looking up. I'm sorry, the camera's above me. Where are we going? I remember in high school, I think it was about 6 years ago, that was the first time as a kid I started to understand the whole situation regarding white cops killing black people. It was with Trayvon Martin. And I remember it specifically because the NBA and a lot of NBA players spoke out, most notably LeBron James with their black shirts regarding Trayvon Martin. I remember that was one of the first times I encountered the whole situation regarding white cop police brutality on black individuals. And here we are 6 years later. We are in 2020. And instead of moving forward with police reforms, instead of moving forward with better training regarding how to, you know, resolve an escalated situation where black people may have are being resisted for many reasons. Don't consider us just animals because we resist. Maybe it's because we're so damn scared out of our minds that we don't even want to be in the situation that we're in. Let's get that straight. It's not because we're animals or we're thugs. Maybe it's because we're so scared of what could happen to us that we just want to remove ourselves from the situation as much as possible. So you have situations like that happening. We need better training. We need better training. And here we are 6 years later, and you have a white cop literally, intentionally stepping their foot on somebody's neck to a point where the individual died, with his last words being, "I can't breathe, I can't breathe." This is the world we have regressed to. This is the world we have regressed to. And over basic human rights. This is literally human rights. We have transformed this nation in the matter of weeks to a point where nobody's even talking about COVID. Nobody's even talking about CV-19 right now. Over human rights. I want y'all to really sit here and think about what I just said. The news outlet, the media, we have made our voices heard so much that we literally, I forgot for a second that CV-19 was a thing. And this is over basic human rights. Why are we having to fight for basic human rights? Why should I have to defend myself over somebody that's supposed to protect me? Their mission is to serve and protect the community. But I'm scared. I'm scared out of my mind. When I'm supposed to feel safe, I'm supposed to feel nurtured, I'm supposed to feel like somebody has my back, they're watching over the community, but no. I have to go out every single night to go to work with the thought in my head that the next person, the next cop that pulls me over could be my last. Today I'm going to jump into a video. We're talking about the situation with Maurice Gordon. This man was shot on the Garden State Parkway over a traffic stop in which he was speeding over I think it was about 110 miles per hour. We're going to speak about that. And this situation is really, like I said, it's really near and dear to my heart because anybody that knows me on here, I went to William Patterson University for 4 years. And throughout my 4 years, I can't tell you how many times I went up and down the Garden State Parkway. I practically lived on the Garden State Parkway, whether it was to get food, whether it was to go to events, whether it was to go home. I used that parkway all the time, and it could have been me. It could have been any one of my black friends. Any one of them. I know a number of them up there. It could have been. It could have been us. This is what hurts. It could be me. I could be next. You could be next. I shouldn't have to think like this. I shouldn't have to worry like this, but I am. And I guarantee you I will continue to do so until something is changed, because this is ridiculous. We're going to get into the video. I'm going to break down everything that happened, and then I'm going to give my thoughts. I see a lot of people on social media are talking about this case, and they're saying it's basically a open and shut case. Gordon resisted. Gordon was trying to break into the police officer's car. Gordon was trying to reach for his gun. Why are you guys making such a big deal about this? He was not only resisting, but he was also trying to, I don't know, shoot the cop or try to, get control of the situation. Why is it such a big deal? Not big deal, but like, why are you guys so amped up? He was justified in shooting him. Now let me ask you a question. If this was a white man in the same position, do you think the officer would have shot him? Ask yourself that question. Ask yourself that question. I'm not trying to hear, oh, cops kill more whites than black. I remember I've seen that so many times on social media. I don't understand that. Look at the footage, look at the statistics, look at the stats. I'm gonna show a video to you guys today that shows that black males are being killed by white cops 2.5 times more than, I believe, white people. Don't be ignorant. Today's not the day for ignorance, because I will address every single one of them. You can bet your stat. I'm gonna go over the situation. Bear with me because I'm gonna be speaking out of the MacBook. 6:26 a.m. Now this is 13 minutes after the first traffic stop. A man named Sergeant Wetzel stopped Gordon for speeding southbound on the GSP near exit 60 in Bass River. Officer approached the vehicle, began by proclaiming himself to be New Jersey State Police as he knocked down on his window. He knocked on his window repeatedly saying, "I'm New Jersey Police." The first thing that doesn't make sense to me is, why are you proclaiming yourself as New Jersey State Police if I can clearly see the outfit that you are wearing? You are fully vested, fully equipped. If I'm not remembering clearly, I'm pretty sure I saw a police officer car stop me before you came out the vehicle. So who else could you have been? Tony the Tiger? I'm confused. Who else could you have been? Maybe I'm not understanding something here. But hey, see, it didn't make any sense considering it was a full uniform. I just said that. He continues to tell Gordon that Gordon knows why the officer was pulling him over, mentioned that the officer clocked him at 110. So now he's speeding at 110 miles an hour. Gordon hands him his license, but not the registration. Officer proceeded to ask him if this was his car and tried to explain to him what the registration looked like to see if Gordon could find it, but he could not. So at this time, he asked him for his license and registration, but Gordon was having trouble finding his registration. I'm not sure if in the previous traffic stop, if Gordon had given the officer his license and registration. I'm not sure if now he's just having trouble finding it. I'm not sure, but it didn't also make sense to me. Is the first thing that you ask the person is this your car? I'm not gonna go too much into that because that's controversial. That could have been said in any altercation because that's probably one of the first things a police officer might say. So I'm gonna let that one go. Officer then directed Gordon to move his car closer to the divider since he was pulled over on the wrong side of the highway. He pulled over on the left side of the highway. Normally he's supposed to pull over on the right side of the highway. And he was a little bit near the flow of traffic, so he asked him to pull his car over to the divider. Gordon replied by saying he could not because his car wasn't working, it was dead. He showed the officer that he tried to start the car, but the car would not start. Officer then said he was going to have to call a tow truck, and told him to stand by. Notice in the video how so far the officer had not arrested him or detained him. This is simply a traffic stop. He is not being arrested. He is not being detained as of yet. The officer walks away from Gordon's car. He glanced back at the car 3 times before approaching Gordon's car again, mentioning he did not have a push bumper to move the vehicle since the vehicle was still in the lane. Officer then reinforced Gordon to remain in his car and the officer will be right with him. Gordon then opens his driver's seat. This is as the officer is in his car. I'm assuming he's looking up his information. I'm not sure if he was successful in doing so or not, because if he would have seen that his bill is clean, as with the exception of the previous traffic stop he had 13 minutes ago. He had no priors. So yeah, as he's checking out his information, Gordon then opens the driver's seat and pops his head out looking for what I think to be the officer. Officer then reminds Gordon to remain in his car and not get out. Gordon then closes the door. Officer then reapproaches the vehicle, asks Gordon if somebody is coming to help him, and mentioned that the officer had a tow truck coming. He then asked Gordon where he was going, to which Gordon replied something I could not decipher due to the quality of the audio. He did mention something about a car dealership, to which the officer asked if he wanted to go to the dealership to buy a car. Gordon replied, yeah. Officer mentioned to Gordon that he could take him where he needed to go, but then re-asked Gordon where he was going initially. Where was his destination? Gordon replied to what I believe to be Sparrow, but then later the officer mentioned he had never heard that place. Gordon then replied, it's far from here. Officer asked him if he had any friends or family around, then mentioned that the car dealership is probably closed due to CV-19. Officer then asked Gordon where he could take him, once again, since his car broke down and had no one else to pick him up. Officer then tells Gordon to stand by, hold on, and then walks away to his car, his police car. Gordon then opens the door and exits out of the vehicle, to which the officer reinforced him to stay in his car. Officer then exits out the vehicle and says, what's that? You want to stay in my car? I'm assuming Gordon asked to stay in the police car. Gordon replied, yeah. The officer allegedly said that, you know, there are bugs and other insects that cause Gordon to not want to be in his car. I'm stuttering my words right now. The officer had asked Gordon if he wanted to be out the car because there were certain bugs and insects that, you know, he didn't feel comfortable being in his own car. Officer begins to direct Gordon to the left side of the vehicle, as Gordon is notably confused as to where he's supposed to go. He looks back at his car. He starts to move to the right of the police car before the officer redirects him to the left side of the police car. So in this part of the video, you can obviously see that Gordon seems to be notably confused as to where he's going, like what's going on right now. Now, I don't want to put too much speculation to the situation. Is it possible he could have some type of mental instability at the moment? Is it possible that there could be something bothering him at the time? We may not know, but I'm just providing speculation. So yeah, basically what I was saying was, you could tell that Gordon was visibly confused as to where. I'm sure he knew where he was, but there was definitely some type of confusion. I'm not going to speculate to what the confusion was. Obviously, we don't know, but you could visibly see that something was off. Anyway, 6:35 a.m., the video clip transitions into Gordon in the police car. He is seat belted, the door is closed, officers in the front of the car. The officer then asked Gordon if he wanted a mask, to which he replied, yeah. Officer exits the front seat and opened Gordon's passenger window to hand him the mask. After receiving the mask, Gordon removes his seatbelt and then opens the door to leave the police car.
I'm just looking to get the bugs out of here.
Now, at this point, I want to remind you guys, Gordon has not been arrested. He has not been detained. There are no cuffs on his wrist. There's nothing on. He's not being held against his will. This is still simply a traffic stop. Keep that in mind. The officer continues to say things like, get in the car, or get in the fucking car, or get in the fucking car now, get in the car now. Gordon approaches the side of the car he left from, closed the door from which he exited. Officer then yells into the intercom, we need another unit now, we need another unit now, while he and Gordon have some type of struggle outside the vehicle, which I cannot see clearly. Again, the video is not as clear as possible to a point where you can see. You can only see the police car, and then outside you could just see two doing something. Officer is seen saying, get out of the car, get the fuck out the car, get out of the car now, get the fuck out. Dashcam video displays two people outside of the car in a bit of a scuffle in front of the police vehicle. He continues to usher those phrases I just mentioned to Gordon. Scuffle continues to ensue for about 15 seconds before the scuffle stops. Dashcam video shows an individual walking back towards the vehicle, which I believe to be Gordon, while the other person just standing there momentarily. Individual walking towards the police car is presumed to be Gordon, as I just mentioned, who then begins to run towards the police car from the left side. Now, this is the driver's side. as the officer begins to chase him, yelling on the intercom, "Get me another unit." Scuffle begins to ensue once again as the officer is yelling, "Get the fuck out," to Gordon, who seems to be attempting to enter the police vehicle, the driver's seat. Officer manages to remove Gordon from the door to the front of the vehicle, where the scuffle continues before the officer fires what appears to be 5 to 6 gunshots to Gordon. Gordon collapses to the floor. Officer says to the intercom that shots have been fired and requests an EMS. Intercom asks officer where he's located, to which the officer responds 50 southbound, 50 southbound. Dashcam video displays officer standing next to Gordon, a bit out of breath from the scuffle, just standing there. Officer then walks back to his car, mumbling something before returning back to Gordon, who continues to lay on the floor, motionless, unconscious. Remember that. Officer then uncovers some piece of clothing from Gordon and then continues to stand next to Gordon as many conversations are ensuing on the intercom between the officers. Then you hear sirens of another officer arriving on the scene. The other officer asks the officer, Wetzel, if he was okay, to which the initial officer described what happened. He mentions that he had pepper sprayed him initially, to which I cannot see on the dashcam video, to which a fight continued after Gordon tried to get in the police car. He continues to say there was a fight for the officer's gun, to which the officer shot him. Mentioned that Gordon was cuffed and down before the video ends. There are two issues. There are two big reasons why Maurice Gordon died on this day. Two big issues. The first thing I'm going to mention is the lack of training that New Jersey and all officers actually across the world, across the country, are faced with. The lack of training as a result to de-escalation tactics are very, very, very important to this topic. As of 2017, there was an article that I was reading. As of 2017, I believe there are 34 states that were not using any de-escalation tactics, any de-escalation training to their officers. So many officers are at a point in time, especially those that have been in the business for 20 years, but also those that are just starting out. They are not equipped with the ability to be able to handle a situation such as the situation with Maurice Gordon. I remember in the article, one of the people that were being interviewed said that they can't really place too much of the blame on police officers because it's honestly some of the officers that are engaged in situations like this, it is simply what they're trained to do. And that's the problem. We need a huge police reform in this country. We need to be able to educate our police officers to a point where they can be able to handle situations like this in a manner where they don't have to result into killing other people. As an officer, it is your job to provide safety to the community. I'm going to give the officer the benefit of the doubt in that regard, only because if you look at the entire video, it seemed as if the officer was trying to help the individual. It seems as if from what the video that I saw, if anybody has anything different or anything that they would like to, rebuttal to what I'm saying, please drop it in the comments below. We can have a conversation. We can have a dialogue as to, your mindset versus my mindset. But from what I saw, it seemed as if the officer was trying to help Gordon. Officer was asking if he can take him to where he wants to go. Officer was asking him if, he's helping him with the whole dealership situation, saying they might not be open due to CV-19. Officer was very, when Gordon asked he didn't want to be in the car no more, Gordon, and the officer, approached Gordon and directed him to go into his police car, since he wasn't as comfortable in his own car. So there were many situations, there were many times within the video where the officer was trying to help Gordon. I will give him the benefit of the doubt in that regard. However, it does not dismiss the fact that the man did not have to die for the situation to have been resolved. The officer did not have to result into shooting this man 5 to 6 times for the situation to resolve. And this is where the lack of education, this is where the lack of training comes right in. We need to be providing more education. We need to be providing more parameters within training these officers before they can even step in a police vehicle. So situations like this situation doesn't happen. So a family doesn't have to mourn the death of their son or brother or daughter or sister. This situation could have been totally unavoidable. It didn't have to end the way it ended. We need to be better as a community, and that starts with the police officers. It starts with the police officers. Unfortunately, he could have been doing what he thought he was trained to do. And that right there, ladies and gentlemen, that is the problem. That is the number one problem. He is being trained what to do. That's the problem. We need to be better in that regard. But this is the bigger situation that I'm about to address. My question, and this is my question, like I said, all of these are my opinions. If you have a problem with that, we can discuss it or we cannot. But I'm going to discuss my thoughts on the issue. Had this had been a white man in the same situation, the same scenario as Maurice Gordon was, would this officer felt as threatened enough to a point where he had to shoot multiple times, fatally killing a white man? Would that have happened? I need you to ask yourself that. Had Maurice Gordon been white, had he had been a white man in this scenario, would he have died? And that's the problem. Police brutality against black men, systemic oppression to black people is a real thing in this society.